Well, let's get to that then. Moxley and Satoshi Kojima. I did not know that Satoshi Kojima had been wrestling for 30 years. And neither would anybody else except the most dedicated of fan, except for the announcers beat it to death. So this guy's got to be almost 50 years old. He looked great, which is why you shouldn't tell people he's almost 50 years old. But now that I'm looking for a 50-year-old, but this, obviously, Moxley not only has the Japanese fetish, he's got the garbage match fetish. Now, by the way, did you hear he's actually going to challenge, or not challenge, but he's the new garbage wrestling champion, and he's going to defend against the bank-addicted drug robber somewhere in a field of mud outside the federal fucking limits of authority or something. Wherever they do these things.
That's good, because he's kind of like the commercialized version of him anyway.
But that Tony Khan's allowing this. You got a big star on a national television program, but he's going to go off and fuck with these people. Anyway, so I'm waiting to see what this is going to look like. And they started out standing there letting each other chop each other and doing fake forearms. And then Kojima did a dive. And then Moxley did a dive. And then they had a fight on the floor. Does this sound familiar? Can they just tape one Moxley match and just keep replaying it so I can save the notes? Because there's never a difference. Kojima backs Moxley up in the corner and does the ridiculous rapid-fire chops with his left hand waving also, and his face looked like he's having a spasm. And I wrote, this is every indie-style match ever held. They traded fake punches on the apron. Did Kojima used to be better when he was like in his 20s or 30s or even 40s, and that's why he's a legend, or was he always about like this?
I've never watched much Kojima. He never interested me much, and it's important to note that when they said some of his accolades, when they repeated some of his accolades, and he held, this title at the same time as this title, it means something, but it doesn't mean the same as if Baba was alive and Inoki was running New Japan and he held titles at the same time. Different world completely, but I'm not a big Kojima guy.
Okay, well, I wrote, why are these unknown people brought in and made competitive with AEW's quote-unquote top stars? And who is supposed to be the babyface here? Moxley is more heelish.
Can I bring up a point?
Yes.
WrestleMania 7, for instance. Vince books Demolition. At that point, it's Smash and Crush to lose to Tenryu and Kateo. This was obviously to please their Japanese partner.
Yeah.
Do you see it the same way here? That they had, let's just say, and I'm not saying they had to get a New Japan guy, but let's just say to please their new friend, they've opened the forbidden door and all of a sudden people came marching through. To please their friend, they're going to have one of their talents on what is, I think, their big show of the year, right? It's all in, all out. It's the big show.
Yeah, can they ask for somebody that doesn't qualify for AARP? There would be a question.
I don't know.
And here's the thing. We know that excrement is in the Japanese bubble, and Uncle Dave the Guru is Japanese, and most of these fans Japanese, but this Moxley is one of their top fucking guys, and if they can't send a top guy for Moxley to be competitive with from New Japan, then they need to send somebody that he can beat in 8 minutes instead of doing the same fucking match with every Tom's dick is hairy just because they're from Japan. Everybody no-sold the clotheslines. More standing and hitting at each other. And finally, Moxley hit 2 of his double-arm DDTs and pinned him flat in a flat finish. And wait, there's more. God damn it. Music plays. Moxley is astonished. Everyone is puzzled because nobody knows who the music is. And then he comes out, it's Minoru Suzuki. And yes, he is a legend. And yes, he's also, how old is Minoru? See if you can find that information out. And he comes out, and he's fucking a badass, legitimately.
53.
He's 53 years old, and all the same people that knew who Kenji Shibuya in this match also know who Minoru Suzuki is, but a lot of other people are going, if anybody, any new fans were brought in by CM Punk, they're all going, what the fuck? All they see is a guy with a funny haircut that's 4 inches shorter than Moxley, that's smaller than Moxley, that could probably stick Moxley's head up his ass in 30 seconds, but they don't know that. The announcers are shitting, but they're preaching to the choir again. But they might be able to build this up, especially if they do a package on Minoru Suzuki's incredible mixed martial arts accomplishments, blah, blah, blah.
They're not building anything up. They announced it for Wednesday.
But that's what I'm saying. But they could have made something out of this, but they announced the match for Wednesday, as in 4 days from then. And then they stood there, and Moxley and Suzuki took turns hitting each other with fake forearms and clotheslines that they weren't selling and laughing at each other in between. And everybody's smiling, and then suddenly Suzuki gives Moxley a pile driver and leaves him laying, and the people are cheering one of the top baby faces in the company being laid out. Why? Why any of this? Were they supposed to cheer one of the top baby faces in the company being laid out by somebody that's never been there before, and just because they're going to have a match on Wednesday?
I once went to a concert, and the main band was going to be the Strokes, and right before the Strokes came out, Jay-Z showed up and did a surprise set, and the people lost their minds because no one expected him to be there, even though he upstaged the Strokes, and even though I saw fucking Albert Hammond Jr. flip out on an amplifier because of this, because they didn't know Jay-Z was going to do this either, and it completely upstaged them, the place popped. The place went crazy. Minoru Suzuki, the people who were there who actually know who he is, and the people who were there probably know who he is, they love seeing him do whatever he's going to do to whoever it is, whether it's Moxley, whether it's Omega, whether it's Daniel Garcia. Whoever it was going to be, they were going to pop for Suzuki.
I know. Anyway, here we go again. Dr. Britt Baker with Reba and Jamie against Chris Flatlander with Pockets in the corner. And after this previous exhibition, to be honest, I walked away from this to go piss and get another 7-ounce can of Sprite and forgot to pause this. And I came back and it was already over with. And Pockets was involved, so it's not to be taken seriously. But how many times did Chris Flatlander almost injure poor Britt Baker?
It wasn't that bad. It was all right. Britt Baker's super over. I can't say super over. And I've liked what I've seen, the little bits of Jamie Hayter so far. Reba is perfect in her role. Not a Pockets fan, but other than the fact that she's involved with the best friends who are deaf, and it's somewhat of a silly alien gimmick, other than that,
if she wasn't involved with the best friends, everything would be fine. Of course, her hometown is the Andromeda Galaxy, but
which I believe is in Suffolk County. But other than that, I think Statlander improves and has some potential. But like so many people there is potential, but we're experiencing everything on TV as opposed to there being another place for them to get ready for TV. But I think Statlander has potential.
Well, good. Then,